Welcome to our annual Young Life Banquet. If we haven't met yet, my name is Sean Boyce and I am the Area Director for Young Life here in Batesville. Thank you for joining us today to celebrate 30 years of ministry. That's 30 years of investing in middle school and high school students so that they have the opportunity to be known. See, we believe when a Young Life leader or a wildlife leader takes the time to truly know a student, that they get a glimpse into how much the God of the universe loves and cares for them. When a kid understands how much God truly loves them, real, eternal transformation takes place. So many programs focus on behavior modification or making sure that kids don't do the wrong things. But we believe in heart transformation, the type of transformation that can only come when a student knows their Creator. If you are joining us today as a current financial partner, we want to say thank you. Thank you for helping kids become known. Your partnership is bringing about real transformation in kids' lives. And if this is your first time checking us out, it is my hope that you would get a glimpse into what it is Young Life is all about, what a Young Life leader is, and why we do what we do, and that you would consider partnering with us as well. Our goal today is to raise an additional $25,000 so that we can meet our budget for the 2021 year. At any time during the banquet, you can give online by going to giving.younglife.org/Batesville Banquet. At this point, you might be asking yourself, okay, so what is Young Life? What is a Young Life leader? And what does a Young Life leader do? I'm glad you asked. Let's take a look.
There's this common conversation that happens between kids and their parents. It's September, the leaves are falling, and every kid in the universe is excited about one thing: Friday night football. The teenager finishes dinner at home and is already halfway out the door when he turns around and shouts, "Mom, I'm going to my Young Life leader's house after the game." Not so fast, mister. Explaining Young Life isn't easy. The only thing harder than explaining Young Life is explaining Young Life to worried parents. How worried? Kitchen table conversation worried. The hardest part to explain for the kid isn't the Young Life events or the Young Life camps. It's the relationship with these guys. Who are these people, and why do they spend all their time with high schoolers and middle schoolers? What's a Young Life leader? It's Monday. The leader is supposed to get up at 5:45 a.m. They end up getting up at 5:54, so no time to shower. They need to be at a school that they didn't graduate from in 20 minutes to pass out donuts. Luckily, they can drive to this school in their sleep because they've spent every Monday for months doing the same exact thing, which is why they threw away the donut holes and started using the whole thing, no pun intended. Even though no one wanted donuts and they burned through half a tank of gas, they consider the morning a success. Another quarter tank of gas later, and they are home just on time for their 8 a.m. psychology lecture. Yeah, psychology lecture. College isn't going to finish itself. Classes drag, but once they're finished, it's back up to the school that they didn't graduate from. It's campaigners tonight, which is pretty much just a Bible study for people that wouldn't usually come to one. Moms are happy everywhere that their child's NIV is no longer collecting dust.
Campaigners is a place where people can be real. It's a place where people are free to ask the questions that they've always been thinking and find out those answers.
Right before they sleep, they briefly recall all the new names that they had learned that day at the school that they didn't All right, you get it. Tuesday. Sun rises. Tuesday is an almost identical day to Monday, minus the donuts and plus a basketball game. They see that student again. They laugh at one of your jokes. Let's go! On their way back home, they stop by the local sports bar and ask about fundraising opportunities. The leader needs to raise a lot of money and not a lot of time if they want all the students to go to Young Life Camp. What's Young Life Camp? It's the best week of your life, but we really don't have time to talk about that right now. Wednesday. Club Day, Young Life's party with a purpose. The leader has been rehearsing their lines for weeks for a silly skit that may or may not be funny. Is Salt Bae still funny? Anyways, Club isn't just some loud event that starts at 8:08. It's a loud event that breaks down walls. It just happens to be at a goofy time.
Young Life Club's weird.
Play a ton of games, listen to music, dance, talk at the end about Jesus.
That one student came and had the best time while hearing about a God who loved them. No, seriously, is Salt Bae still funny or have we moved on? Fast forward to the weekend. No one wants to see more lectures and car rides. We get it, you're in college, you do a lot of stuff. The leader has now spent a total of 5 hours and a tank and a half of gas of going to and from the school that they lead at.
I fill up my gas tank every single time I'm in Finneytown.
It's a quiet Sunday afternoon, the perfect time to catch up on schoolwork. Then the phone rings. It's from an unknown number, which usually means don't pick up, but for some reason, they do. It's that student. They ask to get lunch. Suddenly, homework isn't important. I'm on my way. The donuts, the basketball games, they're good things. In fact, they're great. But they're meaningless if they don't lead to something bigger. This is the heartbeat of Young Life, and it always has been. The something doesn't have to be sensational. It doesn't have to be spectacle. It doesn't have to be club, campaigners, or even Young Life camp. The walls are already down, the teenager is already won, and the stage is already set for something. It's this: to introduce teenagers to Jesus Christ and help them grow in their faith. It looks like this. It's not just because they care, but it's because they've been transformed by God's love and feel compelled to share that in the best way they know how. What's a Young Life leader? They're people, just like you and I. But what does a Young Life leader do? They care. And it looks a lot like showing up, one day at a time.
Hopefully that gives you a glimpse into what a Young Life leader is, what a Young Life leader does, and why. Now for our next segment, I'm excited to introduce to you Austin Wilhelm. Austin is on staff here in Batesville and is in charge of our wildlife program. Take it away, Austin.
Thanks, Sean. As Sean mentioned, my name is Austin, and I'm the wildlife director here in Batesville, which is our ministry with middle schoolers. Since middle school students are at a different developmental stage than high school students, we cater what we do with them in order to fit their needs. And our goal is to provide fun and safe space for them in order to give them a chance to hear about God's love for them. If you are interested in learning more about wildlife or getting involved, you can reach out to me by emailing me at austin@seiyounglife.org. While I lead the team that works with middle school students, I also have the privilege of investing in high school students as well. And I'm really excited to introduce one of my close high school friends, Zach. I first met Zach through his brother Andy, and I've had the honor and privilege of walking alongside Zach for the past 3 years of his high school experience. I'm excited for you to hear his story. Let's take a look.
I'm Zach Gutzwiller, and I'm a junior at Batesville High School. My first experience with Young Life was the 8th grade thing, where they brought the 8th graders who were about to come into high school over to Young Life, try and get them into it if they weren't in wildlife before. I remember a song got played, and it was very hype, and I got crowd surfed, which was really fun, and I just stuck with it because it was really fun. My brother, I don't know when he became a leader at Young Life, but he's definitely the sole reason I got into Young Life. He'd always be leaving the house on Wednesdays, go out while I was in like 7th grade. He got me in here. I'm very thankful he did because it's led me into so much more stuff. I grew up with my family, with church all my life. Something you believe in. It's not something that really sticks in your head. You just go there because your parents do. And then I got into Young Life Camp. Young Life Camp totally changed my perspective, everything on church and life in general. I came to camp for my freshman year, and it was probably the best week I've ever had. Definitely had the greatest food I've ever eaten, especially at a camp ever. I've been to a different church camp. Doesn't compare to Young Life at all. I learned a lot. I found myself a lot through there, and I had the best experience that I could have wished for. A way Young Life has impacted my life really recently, actually, maybe like 6 months ago, I got into another church. So Young Life has been like a step forward, or like a stepping stone towards doing something new with my church life, which I currently play guitar on Sundays, and for youth group, I'm a leader for youth. And that's how I give back for as much as I can with Christ. So Austin's one of my really good friends. Austin has helped me through a bunch, especially things like COVID. COVID brought a very, very big wave of just negativity, probably the lowest times in my life. And there was a thing that happened, and It was probably 2 in the morning when I texted Austin, and he was there for me. And we went the next day and we talked about it for as long as we needed to, and really helped me through a lot. If I didn't have Christ in my life, high school would be a completely different story. I would possibly be doing partying, alcohol, drugs, whatever it takes to fill the void of all the stress that high school really brings. But when you have Christ, it's a whole different story. You get to have someone there. You always have someone, even if you don't really have anyone here, you have them here. I'm Zach Gutzwiller, and I'm so thankful the Young Life did not stop before they got to my high school.
My favorite line from Zach's story is when he talked about his Young Life leader. Zach didn't go into the details of what he was struggling with at the time, but I can promise you it was nothing small. And what he said was that he and his leader sat down and they talked about it as long as they needed to. That's what a Young Life leader does. Showing God's love day after day, interaction after interaction, so that kids are truly known. I also love Zach's story because it shows how God used Young Life as a tool to get him connected to a local church. Our heart for kids is that they have a lifelong relationship with God, and I believe the church is essential to making sure that this happens. The next part of our banquet is definitely an emotional one. Many of you know that we lost someone near and dear to our hearts this past year, Jessica Wiedemann. Several months ago, Jessica was willing to sit down and talk about why she believed in the ministry of Young Life and wanted to encourage other people to get involved. I want to thank the Wiedemann and Wilhelm family for allowing us to show this video. Let's take a look at that now.
I mean, these kids deal with a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of depression out there. There's a lot of pressure. They just don't want somebody to listen to them. They want somebody to talk to. Some people don't give them the time of day, but you get a Young Life leader to hop down, sit next to them at lunch one day, and it might change their life. My husband Brandon and I have been married for 16 years. We have 2 daughters, Nora, who's 11, and Caroline, who is 9. We moved to Batesville about 9 years ago. It was a little tough for us East Central Trojans to move to Batesville, but over the past 9 years, we've really grown to love the Batesville community, and we're happy here in Batesville. I attended my first Young Life fundraising banquet by the invitation of Nick Lawrence. We were teaching together at East Central at the time. I sat through that brunch and was emotionally moved at how Young Life was involved in these high schoolers' lives. Being a high school teacher, I always have a soft spot for high school students. I see the struggles that they deal with day in and day out. That was one of my best memories from teaching, is building those relationships with those students and being there for them and a confidant that they could talk to. At that brunch, they highlighted one of their leaders, Jenna Henderson. She was a young woman in her late 20s who was again battling ovarian cancer. And knowing that I was a cancer patient myself, I watched her story and could relate to her on so many levels. And I was inspired by her that with everything that she was battling and going through, that she was still there for those kids. Jenna passed away in 2016, right when I was diagnosed at stage 4. And I watched the Batesville Young Life community rally around each other and be there for each other. At the banquet in 2017, I knew they were going to honor Jenna's life, and I was emotionally prepared to watch this video. And as I watched the video of Jenna Henderson's impact on the Young Life community in Batesville, it hit me at that moment that my girls are going to need Young Life in their life. I want Young Life to be here when my girls are in high school, because I don't know what the future holds. I don't know if I'll be there for them personally, but I know if they suffer a tragic loss, that the Young Life leaders and members will be there for them. I know that whatever happens, strengthening my girls' faith will only help. And knowing that there will be adults and other students around them that will be there to support them, with also Christ being on their side, brings a lot of peace to my heart. We know as parents that you can preach to your kids all day long, but sometimes it takes hearing from a third person for them to really believe. These leaders are pouring into our kids, and they are listening. In order for Young Life to be sustainable in this community, we need your financial support. Some of you have the capacity to donate a large amount, and we need that. You may have came here this afternoon having a donation amount in mind, but I would challenge you to take that amount you were considering to donate today and cut it in half and consider it a monthly donation. Brandon and I support the Young Life in Batesville by monthly payments too. That works out best. So I urge you to support this ministry financially if you believe in sharing Christ with kids. I know my kids need it, your kids need it, our kids need it.
Jessica agreed to sit down and share her heart because she believed in the ministry. And she also believed that kids being known has eternal ramifications. And that is why today we are asking for your partnership to make sure that kids do have the opportunity to be known. And there are two different ways that you can engage. The first one is give. I mentioned earlier that we were trying to raise $25,000. If you picked up a meal, you can fill out the form that you grabbed and mail that in, or you can go online at giving.younglife.org/Batesville Banquet. The other way to engage is to get involved. Maybe throughout this time you have it on your heart to serve on the committee, or maybe even be a leader. Kids need adults who are investing in them. If that's you, or if you're even considering it, I encourage you to reach out to me. If you have that card, you can fill out the information on there, or you can just contact me by emailing me at sean@seiyounglife.org. I would love to hear from you and talk more about what that would look like. I want to thank you for taking the time to join us today. It is my hope that you got a glimpse into what Young Life is all about, and that you consider joining us in helping kids become known. Thanks.
I see you, beloved.
My name is Inessa, and I accepted Jesus Christ this week.
Hey, my name is Diego, and I came home this week.
I'm Carmen, and I've decided to begin a new relationship with Jesus.
I'm Andrew, and I gave my life to Christ this week.
Hi, my name is Michaela, and I have come home this week.
Hi, I'm Vine.
I'm Caroline.
I'm Tyson.
I'm Macy.
Hi, I'm Thomas.
I'm Ashley.
I'm Jess.
I'm Julia.
Hey, my name is Vinny.
I'm Sarah.
I'm Michael. Noah.
I'm Matt.
I'm Courtney.
I'm Jude.
I'm Alexis. I made a first-time commitment to Christ.
I made my first real commitment to Jesus Christ. I've committed myself to Christ.
And I'm ready for God to be the center of my life.
My name's Henry, and I choose God.
I am Tyler. I recommitted myself to Christ.
And I've permanently committed myself to Jesus.
And I finally found God this week.
And on July 24th, I started my path with Christ.
Yo soy Natalie. Quiero seguir a Jesucristo.
I'm Samantha, and I came home to the Lord.